Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So in this one, I'm going to be answering a good couple of questions that I've received recently about GeForce Now, how it works on iOS and iPadOS. There's been a couple of ones that have come up time and time again, so I figured I'd take this opportunity to create a quick video guide to answer those. So let's jump straight in and avoid all the nonsense. So first, we'll cover off a few of the controller questions. One that keeps coming up is, does it work with PlayStation controllers? And yes, it does, but it does need to be a DualShock 4 controller in order for it to work with the iPad. Unfortunately, little DualShock 3 does not work with it. The other one that came up quite a lot was, will it work with just like a generic type controller? So I guess like your cheaper controllers, ones that aren't branded like your Xbox and your PlayStation ones. I've got a SteelSeries and that works perfectly fine. Basically, if it works with the iPad, then chances are it will work with GeForce Now. Just one thing to watch out for whenever you pick up any of these controllers is, does it have the L3 and R3 support, so on your buttons? A lot of the ones that were made originally to work with iPad and iOS, they had to be MFI controllers, which meant they were made for iPhone, and unfortunately, back in the day, they just didn't support that L3 and R3, so if you're going to be doing any kind of PC type gaming, that can be a real pain, so just one to watch out for. But yes, they do work. If they're supported by iPhone and iPad, then chances are they're going to work with GeForce Now. Obviously, as I showed off in the video as well, they also work with Xbox controllers. This is an Xbox One controller, and they are working on support for the latest Xbox controller as well. So these are a pretty safe bet, and I just like them because you can get these clips a lot easier to work with it. Another one that got asked is, will it work with Joy-Cons? And no, it won't work with Joy-Cons, and that's a real shame because I would love to have some kind of grip that you could like clip onto the side of the iPad and just play with these. That would be absolutely awesome for something like GeForce Now. But no, alas, didn't work. I tried quite a lot, all sorts of different things, and these do not connect with the iPad. So therefore, they're not going to connect with GeForce Now. So nope, unfortunately not. These aren't going to work. Another one I got asked is, will it work with touch controls? And yes, it does have a touch control option built into GeForce Now, which is really handy. Unfortunately, the touch control doesn't give you any options or customization options. So on things like Steam in-home streaming, you can use touch controls with that, for example, and you can customize things like the opacity of the different controls so they don't get in the way as much. You can resize different ones. So on GeForce Now, unfortunately, you're kind of stuck with just a bog standard one, which pretty much takes up the whole screen. It's relatively opaque, so you don't see it too much, but you can't customize it to how you want to have it, which is a bit of a shame. So fingers crossed that's coming in the future, because on things like the iPhone, there's certain types of games do work really, really well with like the touchscreen inputs. And that brings me on to the next question that I'm seeing quite a lot is, where is Fortnite? Obviously, one of the big things at the moment is people not being able to play Fortnite on the iPhone or the iPad, and Nvidia and Epic are kind of working together to get around Apple's restrictions. And the reason why Fortnite isn't here yet is because Nvidia and Epic are working together apparently to bring a really well touch optimized game for you. So Fortnite is coming, it's just delayed at the moment, but when it arrives apparently it will support touch input. I suppose very similar to the way that the app used to work beforehand. So that will be interesting to see how well they deliver that. But that's your answer for where Fortnite is. Another question I was seeing pop up quite a lot is that it's not available in your region and you can't currently use it, so what can be done about that? And honestly, the simple answer for that one is, apart from moving and relocating, because that's a wee bit extreme, is using a VPN. If you use a VPN, then you'll be able to basically kind of choose where you want to be based, and therefore you'll be able to register and work with this service. Just a little note on that. So depending where you are, you probably are going to be, in terms of distance, further away from Nvidia servers, which could have an experience on things like latency and lag, and it could ultimately make it relatively unplayable. But for some people in the chat, they've been talking about how good it works even using a VPN. So you know what, give it a go. Hopefully it'll work for you. One of the other questions I got asked is, why doesn't it work with a keyboard and mouse? Which was one that I was really curious about as well, because in iPadOS 14, it now supports iPad and mouse for things like gaming, and it should work. I'm going to be doing a video shortly on the Rainway app, which basically does allow you to do that, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you catch it. But when I dug deeper into it, Nvidia are blaming this on the limitations of Safari, which kind of makes sense. So things like Rainway, for example, they have their own application, and other games and everything run natively on the iPad, so they can fully take advantage of the software and the abilities of this. But according to Nvidia, unfortunately, due to the limitations of Safari, it does not support mouse and keyboard in terms of actual gaming. You can still use the keyboard to type, so when you're typing things like your passwords or any other information, you could use a keyboard for that. The other question I got asked quite a lot, and we did cover this in the last video, but it's worth answering again, is where are my games? So a lot of people mentioning that a lot of their games weren't available even though they'd purchased them on the PC. And unfortunately that is just down to the developer and Nvidia. There's a huge dispute about where you should be able to play your games and how you should be able to play them. And that's a whole different topic at the moment. So basically, if a publisher allows for that game to be available on the Nvidia service, then it will be available on the Nvidia service. But unfortunately, the publisher does need to allow that. A lot of them have removed it because I suppose they just want to have another stream of revenue. They're not too keen on this type of thing where Nvidia are ultimately making a profit from their game. It's all a minefield. But basically, unless the publisher says it's okay, it's not going to be there. So if your game's not there, that's the reason why. One thing to look out for on Steam, if you are buying your games through Steam, is that on the store page, it will now show on the store page a little icon whether or not it's going to be available on things like Nvidia GeForce Now. So just something to look out for. It does have that option now when you're buying a game, so that's quite nifty and nice. So there are the answers to the most common questions I was receiving after the last video, and that last video has been a massive hit, so thank you very much for all the support from you guys, and welcome to all you new subscribers that have come across from that video as well. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a video very shortly on the Rainway app, which kind of made a big splash when Nintendo brought out the Switch because they claimed they were going to have some kind of game streaming for that, which didn't happen. Spoiler. So I'll be doing that, but that supports some really nifty features, especially with the iPad, like enhanced refresh rate, mouse and keyboard support. So stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you next time with some more awesome videos. If you have any more questions about things like GeForce Now, obviously pop them down in the comments below. I've been going through those and doing my best to answer them, and the community's been doing a great job as well at answering the ones that I've just not known or I haven't seen yet. So thank you very much, everybody, and it has been a pleasure, and I will see you next time. Bye.